Good morning, everyone. I want to introduce you guys to Emmanuel Angels. He has been a person who has met and is in deep connection with archangels. For example, one is Archangel Michael. He also has shared paranormal experiences in his life. He is working on a movie. He has great footage and evidence captured on camera is top notch. Even levitating in bed, which we will get into later, and is willing to share it all with you. So, Emmanuel, if you can start by introducing yourself.
Salutations, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Alex, for your support and donating your time. My surname is Emmanuel Angels for anonymity purposes. Uh, how is everyone this evening?
So, starting off, can you tell us what started you off on this journey?
Excuse me. Well, prior to 2001, I was very skittish when it came to anything of the spiritual realm until I went to visit my best friend's gravesite for the first time. Three events had occurred at the house after visiting the gravesite. Did not go to the procession, only to the services back in 1983. And these three events forever changed my perception of reality. It was the beginning years.
What exactly happened that made you want to pick up a camera and start filming these occurrences with the paranormal?
Now I'm receiving goosebumps. When Kurt was young, he used to have a camcorder too. If I recall correctly, he enjoyed filming. And I continued with that. Then in the 80s, I had a camcorder. So fast forwarding to the 90s, I had another camcorder, VHS-C. So here in 2001, cut to the chase, I had experience in the bathroom. Before we get to that, arriving home after the cemetery, I heard a loud bang in the house. I walked around, looked everywhere, or just various rooms. I didn't notice anything out of place. So then about a half hour afterwards, I decided to waltz into the bathroom and I noticed the Dixie cup holder cap popped off, nestled on a bush, which was perfectly next to a shaver, knocking out some shavings. I tried to reenact that. It was literally impossible. The physics were not there at a human level to reenact that properly. Uh, Second event, middle of the night, I just awoke out of a sleep. I noticed an arm, a shoulder, a head. I was petrified. It's the first time I've ever had an experience about running my own bedroom, and I was petrified. I got up, turned on the closet light switch, and it disappeared. Thinking back, Kurt did have curly red hair with red freckles. Another event, this is the more predominant one, although not to lessen those two other events. I woke up again out of a deep sleep, and I'm walking around my bed. I'm thinking to myself, why am I getting up? Why am I walking? I noticed the perfect sign of the cross. It came in. Underneath is a niche, an opening where I lay in front of my bed, and above there's a platform. I noticed the perfect sign of a cross at an angle, white, coming in. I went to look outside. I could have sworn I seen a speck of light. I wasn't sure. But from that day on is where my curiosity began.
During the three occurrences that made you want to start recording, how were you feeling at the time? Were you ever scared? And if not, why?
Well, I did feel goosebumps. Well, I was around many people the first location that I filmed at. And in the movie, I won't give that away because how that actually began, the filming, and what prompted me to buy a certain device that does certain things is nothing short of incredible. Just put it this way, it does prove to the world that there are angels, and I refer to them as guides. They do guide us, but that's an angel, nothing less, nothing more. And but yeah, that first exploration, I was nervous. It was my first time, and I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen as far as if I was going to catch something on my video camera. As it turns out, I did, and I was utterly astonished.
Were you at a low or sad point in your life when your friend Curtis started coming around and showing you he was there a lot?
When I went to after that, that's a good question. There was another instance that day where I felt his presence coming from my parents' bedroom, and I could have sworn he was up there towards the ceiling with his grandparents. Now, I didn't see them, but I had the sensation of something being there, but I wasn't quite sure, and I naturally referred to Curtis as being the culprit.
And how was Curtis as a person?
Incredible human being. He was golden-hearted like me, and he loved helping people, and he was very highly protective of me, extremely protective.
And he loved to film as well.
Yes, I think he was an aspiring movie director, but he also loved to draw. And in the movie, something's gonna appear on film, and then inside that box, I haven't revealed what's inside that box, but something very near and dear to my heart because it's my best friend's belongings.
And I bet he's so happy. It's like he's pushed you to pick up where he left off, and now you're out here making the real horror movie that he would and others would love to see.
Interesting that you're saying that because he did watch Driller Killer and all these things, and I couldn't stand those movies. I just didn't like stuff like that because I'm about as pure as a white driven snow or as a on a clear blue sky day, white as white can be. I just didn't like violence. I don't like stuff like that. I just want people to get along, but he found that humorous. And I remember one time walking around with a knife made out of aluminum, and he would start following me. And he got that from I can't of Halloween one actually. Jamie Lee Curtis started in that. But and I was like, nope. I go stop, and he stopped, but he was laughing. It was funny.
Watch what you wish for. Have you ever had that moment?
Yes, I have, and it's interesting how they say that. But I think what's really happening is an angel's implanting a thought in your mind, and that the revelation is going to come. And that's happened to me many times actually. And I'm not belittling anybody here, but we all need to understand when we have a moment that we're literally not trying to follow an old cliche here, that we literally are presented with information. It's really the spiritual realm coming down to us and giving us information. We're no different than anybody else. I'm no different than anybody else. And, we all breathe the same air. It's the way I look at it. But yes, I refer to those as angelic moments.
And can you tell us what happened during that time that you had that experience?
I have two that I want to share, and I believe my best friend had something to do with them. So I'm at a shopping center. I'll never forget this. I'm just driving along by the shopping center, and then I hear just that little voice in the back of your head. More like, listen, I believe that was my best friend. It's going to get better. Wait till the next one. I get to that one in a moment. So he says, slow down. The car is going to and the car is going to come in front of you. I slowed down. And the car, lo and behold, coming from the parking lot, it was coming up in front of me. And the guy finally he braked in time, but I slowed down before he came out. Another time, which is really incredible, and I don't know if my female angel or my best friend at the time, because I wasn't quite sure back then. It was a little murky to me, the early years. I was driving down a roadway, and then I was told suddenly someone's going to make a sudden left. So a car came up along my side, popped in the left lane, just suddenly popping. Instead of acknowledging they're going to turn with the signal, they just popped into the left lane. So it almost felt like deja vu. Not not to follow cliches, but it almost felt like something was repeating itself, but was really happening, trying to get my attention, letting me know I'm here and I'm helping you. I'm protecting you.
I've definitely had that experience before. What equipment do you use for your investigations?
Back then I had a rickety camcorder. I won't get into the to what features it had. And my female angel told me at the time, make sure you buy this one because it has this feature. As lo and behold, I brought it home and it had that feature that blew my mind. And but camcorders, I had that one. Then I had another one. I will not mention. It was NEX VG20. I will not mention the manufacturer's name. And then ever since, I think the first year in 2013, I began using that one. Then I converted to my 4K in 2014 and on. And the 4K has been most advantageous, but I will tell you this. If I use the most primitive camcorder, they appeared. If they want to appear, they're going to appear. It doesn't matter if it's day or night. I have footage of both being day or night.
Tell us about the first location that really sparked it for you.
That's a very good question. As far as this ended up being cases, actually. The one was a 2-year-old girl. I'll never ever forget that. I'm getting a lot of goosebumps here because it was a severe case, actually. I've never witnessed anything like that before in my life. And you're dealing with, shall I expound a little further,
Go
actually?
ahead. Yes.
Mhm. This will be in the film. I don't want to give too much away, but the grandmother, I remember at the time, because the grandmother would visit, she lived nearby, I believe, if I recall correctly. So the mother and two girls lived in this apartment, divorced twice. Felt bad for the kids. But grandmother mentioned something to me very critical, and I thought it was a little peculiar. She mentioned to me, well, we learned that witchcraft was in the area. And I said to myself, well, eventually, years later, I fast forward, I finally found that evidence 2 years ago when I started working on the movie. It took me 2.4 years to make my movie. And now I'm adding a little more, and then they're all set. But the moment she said that, when I look back, I said to myself, there you go. You opened up something, not a portal, no such thing. It's open space out there, but you allowed something to come in. Instead of going to a priest, and I will be specific here because I have to be, it's a revelation of truth, my movie, either Orthodox or Catholic is the primary ones you go to. You never go to anything less than that. Anybody's self-proclaimed anything, stay away because not that a priest can't be vulnerable, but it's just not recommended. It's not recommended. But when she said that, it made sense why the young girl was in a trance. It made sense why she started saying words that a 2-year-old couldn't even conceive to think of saying.
I would like to interrupt real quick and say that we're not saying that any other religions are bad in
Okay,
any
thank you.
way.
Okay. But I always recommend a priest, and we'll leave it at that. But so that case was the most profound case, and the evidence that I captured is nothing short of incredible and kind of indicating what the grandmother mentioned.
When did you first have an experience with an archangel?
So I believe I was actually filming at a bar. I think it may have been around 2015. And that apartment that I went to was the atmosphere was heavy. It was pretty heavy there at certain points. But at the bar, most heaviest, most incredibly heaviest. I believe that was 2014, if I recollect correctly. Yes, summer 2014, beginning in June. So I was there filming for several months. Um, that bar there was soaked with demons. They refer to as spirits you drink, and you might be asking for some more than you can imagine. And people have literally walked in there, never had a drink in their life, or not known to be regular drinkers, end up being alcoholics. That's scary stuff. And that's how they can get to you. That's how they can penetrate your mind, where just that moment where your weakness is, they'll come in full force. And somebody actually had drunk themselves to a stupor one evening, true story, went off to a local hotel and passed away at the hotel. They drank themselves to death, literally.
So they died?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. That was pretty horrific. I wasn't there, but that's one of the stories from there. Also, there's a spirit in the basement, which I've seen once. And what I captured there was nothing short of historical on film.
And the time that archangels,
So I'm
Michael,
sorry. I'm sorry. I was alluding to that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
um, and when Archangel Michael sat on your bed and you saw him. Could you tell us about that again?
Yes, so I was laying down and it was in the morning. I remember the sun coming into the room and around that time, it wasn't nighttime or anything. And I'm laying back and I just want to just go off to the left, lay to the left for a moment. And I'm like a little startled because I felt like I literally like trying to budge against a brick wall that's had like padding on it. So I go to look. I'll never forget for a glimpse for about 1 second, 1 or 2 seconds, black curly hair, chest, the density, I swear, of a half a foot in density. The muscular, how more than that, probably maybe 8 inches and probably more than that, maybe a foot. Sounds preposterous, but I know what I witnessed. Again, black curly hair. The chest is the density, 3 times the density of Hercules. He was at least 6.5 feet long. I recall his legs overhanging the bed. And I have a king size bed, so just imagine how tall 7 feet is pretty tall, longer than the bed. And I was astonished. I later did see him at church some months afterwards. I don't recall the time frame, but mind you, it was around this time that I was dealing with the severe case of the 2-year-old and this bar, the most severest cases. Between the evidence that those places, again, I cannot reiterate enough, were nothing short of historical and mind-boggling. But I seen him at church floating right below dome. He was wearing a long golden robe, same individual, black curly hair.
And did he ever say anything to you?
No, I felt that I was being severely protected. And I've been told, maybe the source is an angel, that he is so powerful, one swath of his sword, it's actually 6.5 to 7 feet tall. I'm sorry, my apologies. I'm sorry. It was 3 to 3.5 feet long. I'm sorry, my apologies. That can destroy 3,000 demons with one swath of his sword. I know it sounds far-fetched, but that's what I was told. And he basically moves 3 times the speed of light. That'll explain how he's able to do what he can do.
And did you have any other experiences with archangels?
Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel, and Archangel Ariel.
And for the people who don't know what archangels are, can you explain to them what and who that is?
In the hierarchy of the divinity, you have Jesus, and then you have the archangels, which are the warriors, depending on what they're set out to do. Archangel Michael is the warrior, the ultimate warrior protector. Then you have Archangel Raphael. I'm only speaking the ones that I had experience with. I'm not so familiar with the other ones. Excuse me. Archangel Raphael is a healer. Archangel Gabriel is the one who shows you the truth. And Archangel Ariel, actually, she's the one who's allowed me to see things. And I've seen over 100 spirits, angels, and demons. And I know I have documented them on film, but I don't think I have it in the movie. But I'll tell you right now, it's the most incredible feeling. I almost felt like an alien because, I mean, I felt like one in a billion. And to witness all that in a matter of short time of maybe few years, which is that itself is nothing short of incredible.
And my next question was going to be, can you describe what it feels like to encounter an archangel or an angel?
You know, initially, you think you would have goose. I'm receiving a lot of goosebumps, major goosebumps now. I mean, big time. But here's an example. I won't get in detail, take too long. I'm walking out of the bathroom as I'm waltzing out, 1 foot out, suddenly hear, "Hi, Mike." It was a female. This is the first time that I ever heard that female. I believe it's Archangel Ariel. Um, and she's in my 12 audible memoirs, and which would be nothing short of just, it's mind-boggling. I mean, I won't get into that, but at that point I was startled. But after that, I slowly began putting two and two together. When you watch the movie, watch the evidence, it'll begin to click.
And can you tell us about the cold case that you are or were working on?
Well, it wasn't so cold, but it was only cold in respect that everybody believed there was one person who was involved and they couldn't prove others. Well, my female angel, I even have a photo of these three individuals off the internet, and I would see somebody take it off, place it back on. My timing is nothing short of angelic and divine intervention at its finest. And it's all about timing, source, and circumstance. If you don't have that with you, it wasn't meant to be. They all need to be aligned perfectly. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Never happen. And what I seen there, and I mailed out maybe a dozen flyers to different addresses that I was told to. I even was given the name of a bar. I went to look up and it was there. I was just mind boggled and astonished. How is this possible? And somebody said to me, "You're a psychic." And then I eventually learned with all my evidence, I'm not. I'm maybe the chosen one because they could trust me. And they know I'm about as pure can be. And I think it all goes hand in hand with evidence, obviously. But that there, it was a really bad case. I was shown a grassy knoll in my mind while I was sleeping, and I usually it doesn't happen that way with me. Usually I'm awake. Majority of the time I'm awake whenever I have a vision or see something or what have you. 99% of the time, actually. And what happened to this 12-year-old was nothing short of chilling. What I had come to me was a couple things. And please forgive me. I'll only share this and we'll leave it alone because it was just a horrific case. They never mentioned this, but the perpetrator was into the dark occult, dark of dark. And we're talking about as bad as it gets. I believe, please forgive me for saying this, but my female angel told me, and she gave me the brand of the chainsaw. Chainsaw was about, and then I had a vision of a vehicle, a four-door vehicle, and I seen this person and another person in the back seat with this girl.
We're in the midst of explaining um what what you were shown.
Yes, a grassy knoll, and it was a vision, and then a vehicle, four-door vehicle. I've seen the primary suspect, referred to him as the suspect, and but they never mentioned the other two individuals, which really surprised me. It was a cover-up. I later learned, they're trying to cover things up. But I had gone on the internet. I noticed a picture of a trio, and things started coming to me. I started making notes for each person. And the one who is the head of the group, he's the one that they focused on. He's the only one they focused on, which I thought was very unusual. But when there's corruption, that's how it happens, I guess. And so he was basically the film director. The other person had the cameraman. The other person was a newbie on the team, and it's quite possible. And they're all holding swords. It's quite possible that that third person may have played a role in the final demise of this girl. And so that's why I sent out a bunch of flowers with that trio on there, flowers, sorry, to various addresses. And I'll never forget the one at the bar. That really blew my mind. How, it's incredible how I felt like Superman in respect, I'm getting this information, otherwise humanly impossible. And, but it was my female angel all along.
And how do the spirits communicate with you?
You don't hear anything, which is most incredible. And there were a few instances filming another location where I had something come to me, literally in front of me, like a spirit would, and they give information. But that's extremely rare. Now, if the spirit's speaking to an angel speaking to me, it's not telekinesis or stuff like that. What happens is, if they're far away enough, you'll hear it in your mind, but it's equivalent of a whisper. But your brain won't interpret it that way because you don't hear the bass. So by the time you realize what you heard, it'll seem as though it came out of midair, literally.
And how do you respond to the skeptics that doubt the existence of the spirit realm?
I would all advise you. Curiosity is one thing, but I'm telling you right now, through my experience on these cases, this is the real stuff. This stuff, and I had another one at my niece's house. What I capture on there will blow your mind. Nothing short of horrific. Protected, you would literally have to be protected. I'm severely protected. Seems like everybody wants to protect me. I just want to be normal, but so be it. If that be it, so be it. But you have to be, no matter how cautious you are, sometimes just you'll have an experience. But I would not pay attention to it any further, is the key. Move along to the next location. But I will tell you this much, how I've heard things where they say they follow you and this and that. I don't think they necessarily follow you. If you're in a case and then they feel that you're a threat somehow, they may try and intimidate you, not necessarily follow you. Okay. I had that happen in my niece's house. One came in front of the house, but never came in. Because if it came in, I think it knew it would never come out. Now, then again, that's under human terms. When it comes to spiritual realm, it doesn't work that way.
Is there one location that sticks out of all your other investigations?
Evidence-wise or physicality that I experienced?
Physical.
It was a bar in Schiller Park. I'll never, ever forget this. And I so happened to close my eyes one time at the bar. I normally don't do that, but that was cliche to me at the time, so I thought I'd try it. And I saw somebody wearing a hat. He was all black, and he just wore all black. More than likely, it was a demon, but I was someone new to all that, exploring, so it didn't all sink in until years later. And so the owner of the restaurant in Schiller Park told me, come to the office. So I was walking into the office. Suddenly I felt like something just may have floated through me. I was literally jittering for about 20 seconds, as though just this intense vibration. And I was like, oh my God, what's this? And I'll tell you right now, I rarely have ever gone back. I I, I just don't care to. And just to some other political stuff there. Somebody else used to go there and claim to be all sorts of things, and she's not. I decided just to stay away from that place altogether and not deal with the nonsense. And I'd like to tell it like it is. Without the truth, we are doomed. But that was the most unusual and incredible experience I've ever had from a physical standpoint.
Going back to that case that we were just talking about, what got you started on that?
Oh, that restaurant?
Um, the one, the one that you were having visions of.
Visions. Well, actually, that restaurant did have some visions of what may have happened there.
Sorry.
Well, it's okay. But well, the vision was of the girl, and I was out of Texas, actually. I've never even been in Texas. But those are only visions, and one for this, it's okay, one for this restaurant as well. Had some information come to me. And just to fast forward back, and once 2015 came or 16, I said to my angel, I said, I don't want to have visions. I don't want to see spirits, angels, and demons. I don't want to see any of that anymore. I'm tired I don't want to see that anymore. I said, I want to work on a cold case. That came in 2016, April 8th. I'll never forget that. That's where I mentioned earlier. I heard a high mic coming out of the bathroom. Then I went to go back to sleep is when the vision began. So just a retraction there. But those are really the only times I had visions. As far as the other locations, I mean, sometimes you don't have to necessarily have a vision to know something. Sometimes they'll just tell you. But
Did
all
you
right.
did you ever try reaching out to the spirits from those girls and try finding out what happened to them?
No, because my female angel did that for me. She's the one who revealed the truth. So, like I said before, we shouldn't really be looking for something, and communicating with the spiritual realm is a double-edged sword. And sometimes we do it inadvertently. We don't really think about it, but the outcome in some cases could be catastrophic.
How do you know the difference between an angel, a human spirit, and a demon?
Well, I had that recently. I with my mom, my dear mom who passed. So there's a distinct difference between an angel and a demon. let's now, for all intents and purposes, I'm referring to a television set from the 50s, black and white. Okay, and keeping it at that, no more, no less. So black is an indicator of a demonic presence, dark presence, referred to typically. White is of an angelic presence. Okay. So based on my evidence and my experiences, dark forces, when they come in, they can infiltrate the atmosphere. And I've actually seen something floating in the atmosphere, just big mass of black matter. Now, some would say, well, it's a loved one. No, it's not. Let me tell you something right now. A black mass of anything coming into the room is not normal. Okay. And if you're gonna feel pressure in the environment. It's not the environment. You can't gauge it with any device because it's actually what's coming to the room where the pressure is at. You see? So when they come into our environment, it's not our environment's being affected, it's what they're doing it because they're a different form of matter than we are. We abide by laws of physics, they do not. So imagine the two mixing. So you're going to think, oh, the room's getting darker suddenly. Maybe it's my vision. No, it's them. They're penetrating the atmosphere, is what they're basically doing. But I had the very rare insight of seeing that. And it makes you feel you're not yourself. How do I explain this? You feel a little instability in the atmosphere. You feel it can slightly depress you, oppress you, and then possess you. So the sign of slight depression, then oppression is a major sign. That's when whatever you're doing, stop doing it. And I can't tell you what to do next, but I always pray. I pray every day. I would recommend not enticing these forces. They're looking for someone just like you to come out and say to it, whether whether you're an antagonist or not, it doesn't matter. That's not how they work. The moment that you open up that door, not literally, I'm staying away from cliches, to open up, the moment you entertain that thought, that's all it takes for them. And it's just like I said, it's a very like you feel this pressure. You feel something that's not normal. White matter, angelic matter, you feel at peace. You feel relaxed. You feel at ease. You don't feel anything that's other than simply productive. You feel just like your normal self. You're happy.
And have you ever encountered a mimic before?
Yes, I have captured that on video actually. And so I heard our voices, and then suddenly the volume is heightened again, and you hear the same thing. It's saying the same thing that we're saying. So it's just kind of replaying an environment. So which I find fascinating. But it wasn't 100% to the original voice, mind you. It's never going to be 100%. 100%. That's where I've been able to tell the difference, whether it's a demon or my mom talking from the grave.
If people don't know what mimics are, and that's what I say to be a demonic type entity that takes the shape, form, or voice of someone that you know. For an example, have you ever been in a room where you hear your parents calling you, but they're not home? That's a
I've had,
mimic.
yes, I've had an instance where I heard my name, but at the time it was my angel. Now, then again, it may not have been, but it's very rare that I have. Interesting, in one of my cases, the 2-year-old, I did not add this to the movie because it's pretty horrific. And you heard the 2-year-old saying my name. She didn't pronounce 100% correctly. To execute me because I was revealing the truth. And when I heard that, I was so astonished. Now, like I said, I implore all of you. You can be curious. If you want to walk through a building, that's fine, but don't stay the night because chances are you don't belong there and you're not welcomed. Trust me when I tell you this. If they speak of a place, many bad things happen there. You have no business being there because what's left behind are demons. They're there to suck everything they can out of anything that walks in that building. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't. It's known as a succubus. Not that I really care. S- Somebody told me that at one time, and I don't even think about it anymore.
You've actually had someone try to take your footage of the evidence that you've captured on camera before. Can you tell us about that?
I decided to start adding some clips to TikTok just out of curiosity. And this one has 6,646 hits. And that footage is an indicator of a proof that they can try and attack you at nighttime. And that's the best time to attack because majority of people sleep at night, so that's when you're most vulnerable under normal circumstances. If well, this person made a comment, I'm gonna take this video clip. At that point, I decide, you know what? I got my 6,600 hits for this one. I was just experimenting, and I don't need to continue here. So I took them all down, and I just removed all the video clips. But it was just somebody who was probably very, how should I say, mentally unavailable to even consider such a thing.
They were just wanting the views and they saw that you were getting it.
Yeah, it's just, there's toxic people out there, and you have to pray for them and then move on.
What first got you into wanting to record inside of your home?
That's a phenomenal question, and I'm going to backtrack. Now, my first piece of evidence at the house was back in 2014, if I recall correctly. I think it was 2014, while at the time I was working on these severe cases. Specifically in 2014 was a severe case of that bar. And some would speculate, well, it's because of that, that's why you're capturing stuff at the house. There is a correlation there, yes. But sometimes I ran into a couple individuals, girls perceive themselves to be, this is in the movie, they perceive themselves to be as Wiccans and they give themselves titles. Well, it's in the movie. I'm not going to further expound on that. And I think at that time, that's when I captured something by picture, and I don't even recall how I captured it. It sounds ludicrous, but I do not. I usually use a camcorder to capture stuff 99% of the time, sometimes my cell phone, sometimes my trail cams. But I was baffled on this one because it was pretty clear, and how I captured it with a cell phone doesn't make sense to me. I would have to use a device to do that, but it wasn't black and white, the image, because you can see the frame of the window, the bay window is white. You can tell. So it just didn't make sense to me. I just don't recall how I captured that, but it was actual demon that appeared in that dining room. And what was happening to me at the time, I just slowly things were being revealed to me, the revelation of truth. But
And
I'm sorry. So it kind of gets you allude to your question. That's a very good question. My female angel was telling me where to place the equipment in the house. And that's how I was able to capture the stuff. Otherwise, like whenever I go filming, I have a sensation just to point here or there, and I have evidence of that in the movie. You'll see pieces of evidence of that.
can you tell us about another location that really pops out in your movie?
Well, I went to a prison and I filmed on location there, and some of the evidence there, this place was a virtual death chamber, I'm sorry to say. The type of personalities that were housed there, they're literally caged in like animals, which is pretty pathetic, but considering their background, unfortunately, the authorities had no choice in those cases. This place was drenched with the dark of itself, the dark one himself, probably more than likely. And I have footage from there, and just probably about 70 pieces of audibles, which kind of blew my mind. And I have very fine hearing after hearing this stuff for years. I can understand it's what they're saying, not always, most of the time. That was a heck hole. It truly was epitome of a heck hole. There was an area they called the death chamber. That's where people were right next to there. Outside, they had the electric chair, and this was considered the death chamber. It was like they lock them up in there. It was cold, really cold in the wintertime. And but I have some pieces of evidence. I see somebody. I'd want to give it away, but it's really incredible evidence.
And if you had something to say to Curtis, who really started all of this for you, what would you have to say right now?
That I love Kurt. I'll always love my best friend, and he means a lot to me. And I went to visit him after my mom passed away. And I have a footage from the kitchen area where I'm sitting down eating with Dad, and we have an Arlo camera in the other room, literally right there, picking up. You can see me sitting there eating, picks up half of me. And I remember going to the bathroom, and I'm not sure if it was my mom at the time. My mom likes to joke around, but I don't think she was ever a prankster. It may have been my best friend. I have to show this because nothing short of mind blowing. And I placed a piece of cloth on a plastic, just filled it up with water, this plastic container. And it's not going to soak. I noticed it started soaking up some water. I'm sorry, wait, let me backtrack. So I'm sitting down. I go to take a shower. As I come back, getting ready to eat lunch, I think that's what it was. I sit down. I'm like, why are my pants wet? Literally, my pants were soaking wet. And I noticed the paper towel that I had on the cup full of water was soaking wet, but majority of the water was in the cup. And I go, Dad, did you put water on the chair, on the padding? He goes, yes, I did it. Well, I went to look at our little camera. Nobody ever sat in my chair. My dad never was even near my chair. And the way the water was on there, you can see a couple areas were drenched. And it's like, so I noticed some moisture underneath the placemat, but on the other side where you would have the edge of the table is dry. So it was just mathematically impossible for that to have occurred unless there was a spiritual trigger.
Can you also explain why your dad said yes, that he poured the water on your chair?
Because he's one who doesn't believe in the afterlife. I don't know if he chooses not to, but even with my mom, he goes, she is, I'm not going to repeat the word because that was hard for me to hear that my mom passed. He was just saying she's DEAD. I said, no, Dad, that's my mom's physical body is, but my mom's here. And I'm going to play the evidence from the grove site, but he just didn't want to believe it. And that's why he would say, yes, he did it, just to kind of kill off that conversation, neutralize the conversation. And I go, Dad, I looked on the film, Dad. You didn't do anything, Dad. I have it on film. Nobody was there. And looking at him like, I couldn't find, maybe it takes what, 10, 15 minutes to take a shower, brush my teeth. And I'm like, there's no way. It was just no way. But I don't know how much water was there, but it was just enough to soak my pants. It was just crazy.
And what do demonic entities do to try to get to us?
Well, based on my experience, they try to intimidate you, they try to scare you. You'll see footage on there, which is, I'm warning everybody right now. If you haven't seen this footage, just if you like to pray or think of something that's you consider your safe place, go ahead. Because this stuff, don't let it disturb you. Just watch it, take it for what it's worth, and move along. Don't entertain any thoughts. Just watch it and move along.
Can you,
So,
oh, sorry.
that's okay. Go ahead.
Can you tell us about the sacred cross that you were given?
And there's footage in the movie of this as well. Well, I went to a monastery, I'd say back in 2017. We've been up there several times with my parents. And the lady said, "Oh, you're a good person. I can tell you're a very good person, and we're going to give you a gift." And I'm like, so I didn't open up until several years later, literally up until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And so I opened it up. Before I get to that, I've been telling my parents we have to go to this Pleasant Prairie Monastery in Wisconsin. And so we go there, and I'm lighting some candles. I make a donation. As I'm filming, I go right around the bed, and then you hear a voice saying, "He's here now. He's here, receives the power." And the way he said it wasn't too intimidating to scare me. In Greek, there's the word thados. He said with strength, but it wasn't there intimidating. It's basically letting me know that he is a force, and he's given me the power. It's not that we have the power, they're allowing us to be part of the power, is what's really happening. So that cross, that same cross I used at my niece's house, and I knew there was something there. I knew it was more like demonic. She told me she kept on hearing a phone ring. I won't go into detail of that, but I kind of allude to it very briefly in the movie indirectly. I can't get into that because it's family. But so I went there, I filmed, and I actually captured it on film, but it was very faint. You hear like ringing, like a faint ringing. And oh, my uncle, I won't get into that, but it's because of my uncle. That's why the house was vacant for a number of years. I went to Greece, he passed on, and the house was vacant for a good couple years, I think, maybe. I don't recall. And mind you, it doesn't matter the old cliche. The house is left alone, and now it's time for them to pray on the empty house. There's too many variations there. It doesn't work one way or the other. It just there's too many variations. No rhyme or reason. Whichever way they can get in, they'll get in. It doesn't matter to them. That's how they
Did
work.
did your
And sorry, hold on. I pulled out my cross. I said, in the name of Jesus, God Almighty, if you come back, you're not going to come back, or the wrath of Archangel Michael cometh. The sword will come. I'm sorry, go ahead.
did your experiences change after you received the sacred cross?
I had another cross prior to that, and my friend said you can feel something. It was handmade, and I felt very empowered with it. But this one here in particular, it's more like a serene feeling. It's not like the other one where I don't know who made that cross, but it almost felt like it was too ornamental. This one here, stainless steel, serves the purpose. Doesn't matter. But did I feel? That's a good question. The other one, I felt something. I felt super strong. This one, I feel super protected, mega protected. Not that one's better than the other one, but when I walked into the house and I said that, and I went to film there a couple more times, only in very rare cases I do that. I get my evidence and I'm done, and then I instruct them what to do after that. And but it never came back, according to them. And like I said, it came in front of the house. A couple times I heard it in the garage, in the house, in front of the house, but it did not come inside this house because I guarantee you, if it hasn't already met the wrath of Archangel Michael, it already has.
I hear that. Do you believe that there are other planets that once or do have living form?
Living form, that can be deceptive. Demons can take on various forms. Now, not 100%, mind you. Okay. I have an image which I was debating whether or not to share. It shows my mom face in the hospital after I came home from doing a location. She goes, "What are you doing?" She was basically indicating that she brought something home and she wasn't feeling well. She felt ill. She went to the hospital. And I took two pictures because something told me to. I don't just usually take random pictures. I'm thinking back now, I decided to take a couple pictures. Wasn't sure why. And what I captured on film was insane. It actually looked like an, an alien's head, but the eyes were black, pitch black. And mind you, they can take on various forms. Now, like I alluded to before, white will never be black, black will never be white. But mind you, This may very well have been a ghoul, which is white. This is where it gets, how do I say this? I'm sorry. Um, I'm sorry, it doesn't take on specific colors. It's basically vaporish material that it's not fully formed. It could take on an image, and that I've captured. You'll see that in the film. It's just, there's so many variations of stuff in the film. Not so many, but there's some very good stuff, evidence in there. And then mention that, you'll see where you'll understand better watching the film.
Do you
But
believe in, oh, sorry.
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Do you believe in any cryptids like Bigfoot or the Mothman?
Mind you, you're dealing with demons again. Now, the Bigfoot, I wouldn't be surprised. There were spiders the size of baby elephants back in 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago. So anything's possible. I really believe so. Not 10 feet. 10 feet tall actually is not as outrageous as it sounds. A gentleman who ended up being the Guinness Book of World Records at 8 feet 11 inches. It's not impossible. I think it was the pituitary gland was overactive and it kept on growing and growing and growing. And his body didn't understand how to not start, how to stop growing. It didn't understand how to stop growing. So there's a reasonable explanation for that. But yes, giants are not out of the realm of possibility. The Mothman, well, I've heard of that terminology. More than likely, it's demonic in nature.
Has a spirit ever turned a light on and off or in your inner let me re-ask that.
Oh, no, you've asked it well.
Has a spirit ever turned a light on and off in your home?
Yes, maybe when I was younger, I didn't notice, but around the time I had my nasal surgery, oh God, I miss my mom. And so I'm sitting there, and I was just sleeping there for a matter of few days because it's easier when you lay back, you're not laying too far back, and it's very comfortable. And I literally sat there for a week, not straight, obviously. We're going to be talking right now. But so I'll never forget this one evening. I'm sitting there 11 o'clock, and I literally have the TV on. I go to turn off TV, and I say, oh, we shouldn't have to get up to turn off that light. No, I'm sorry, I was watching TV. I didn't feel like getting up to the light because this is like the second day into my surgery, from my date of surgery, I meant. I know this is going to sound outlandish, far-fetched, but I realized something. Anything's possible except moving furniture and stuff like that. They don't need to do that. And it's just not necessary. It doesn't really work that way. I'm sitting there, suddenly the light's off, and I go, I'm like, wait, I don't remember getting up to turn off the light. I'm like, now this lamp in the family was known not to work sometimes. Over the years, we just do some odd things, but it wasn't very commonplace. It was very, very, uh, just very rare that that would happen that I can recollect. Well, that night it gets better. In the morning around 7:30 a.m., suddenly the light turns on. And now you're probably all saying, this is a bunch of rubbish, Emmanuel. I'm telling you, I speak the truth, so help me, Jesus. I speak as it happens. And so so happened that I captured something on film in that time frame. It's kind of an ovalist shape, which I have captured while driving on to do another location in Michigan. It was actually hovering over my wheel. It was angelic matter protecting me. And but I don't remember taking the picture because technically I would have been on the passenger side, which doesn't make sense because I would have been driving by myself unless I was with the girl. But I know for a fact I would not let anybody drive my car back then. Nobody. So it's possible I might have taken a move to the right and took the picture, possibly. But that was that blew my mind.
And can you tell us about the Slenderman figure that you caught on camera?
So many of you may refer to, oh, there was a case on TV. There were three girls. One of them was the instigator, and then you have collateral influence. Before you know it, the other party would become a participant in what that person wanted to do to the third party. There's basically three girls involved, two girls technically. The third one, they wanted to harm the girl. And so when that teenage girl was incarcerated, she said she referred to the slender man. I've actually captured on film in the dining room for the first time in history. It's slender, but it's a demon. It's not a slender man because we're human, so we refer to everything in human terminology, human terms. This is nothing short of a demon and just skeletal features, obviously. There's no meat on the skeleton, it's just skeletal features. The head, you can see just shapes of what was once a human and again, we'll refer to it as human form because that's all we understand. We weren't born in the spirit realm, we were born amongst the living initially. But it came from the spirit realm, a spiritual realm. That's another story. Such as our soul. The moment upon inception, our soul was born. Keep that in mind. Very important here. Extremely important. And in the movie, I'll be mentioning my mom and what I witnessed. That really blew my mind. I wish I had evidence of that, but that blew my mind royally. But this person, this was actually the Slender Man. I refer to as a demon. And that in the dining room, the atmosphere was definitely oppressive, extremely oppressive. You could almost cut the room with a knife, the atmosphere with a knife, I meant. It was very heavy in there. I've had my bedroom feel very heavy when I worked on the bar case. It was heavy. And what happened to me eventually was I said, you know what? I don't want to have anything to do with this anymore. I'm done. And that's when it all went away. Go ahead.
Have you ever witnessed a possession or an exorcism?
Oh, I was part of an exorcism. I pulled out the cross, the original cross that I had, and I placed it on this person. And the way he responded was very interesting. And then suddenly came roaring out. It didn't really come out of my mouth. It was just had appeared right in front of me. And he goes, "Oh, look, look." It was a demon roaring. But I didn't think the videotape, or at least videotape myself at the time. I kind of kicked myself. But you can hear it. I don't know if he heard, I don't remember exactly, but it was coming towards me, probably coming towards, not from him, but going towards him. And what I did is pull out my cross, I placed it on him, and I just didn't do anything else. That was this, I don't think that was the same evening where I don't recall, but maybe that same evening when I pulled out a recorder because I just do stuff like that at random. And he was thinking I was recording him, hoping he would say something. No, nothing like that. That's never do that. I don't do stuff like that. It's just because of the place that I was at, that's why I was doing that. I always, 99% of the time, love to video record because that records the motion and constant motion of time so you don't miss anything. And that's why we don't see things initially, but we pick it up on film because there's a lag. And so that then and there, I'll never forget that night. And it was pretty heavy duty. That place was darker than dark at that point.
And what I think we've all been waiting for me to ask is, what happened with you levitating? Tell us about that.
Well, I think it was around 2014 when I was dealing, I'll give it away a little bit, what I refer to as the Soul Reaper, caught captured on film for the first time, and it had tentacles. It was basically looking for its next soul. The reason why I'm mentioning this situation which I've captured on film was the Soul Reaper with the tentacle captured on film, is because that night was just that's when the atmosphere was oppressive in my room. And I had my night vision motion detection trail cam on. I wish it was in video mode. I'm not sure what happened there, but I have one picture showing just me sleeping. You don't see my legs up. And the next one, you see my legs had to have gone up a couple feet. Just my whole body. It just seemed like I've I used to hear about this stuff when I casually watch stuff on TV. I said to myself that can't be. Well, unfortunately, it happened. And when I saw that, I didn't allow myself to get scared. You know, I just at that point I finished my exploration at that location. Then I took a break for quite a while after that. Then I had the case of the young girl, it was the same year. Then I stayed away from anything like that after that.
Was it a one-time thing or did it happen multiple times?
I can't say. I was told to place the camera, the trail cam there, and it picked it up. But it wasn't necessary again to repeat that because just having that evidence is more than enough. That's a good question. I can't answer that, but I noticed my evidence doesn't repeat itself for the most part.
And if people wanted to watch your movie, where could they find it at?
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually been working on the tail end of the film. I'm adding my mom, who passed away from metastatic carcinoma at age 88, and and she was at a rehab center in May, and I just felt like I was dreaming. I just couldn't believe what was unfolding. And I've had experiences at the cemetery. I have stuff on video of the audible. I actually have something from the backyard floating in the backyard in July, which I like to believe is my mom. I never picked up filmed anything like that before in my life. Although there is a segment in the movie of me capturing something in the backyard, but something like that I've never captured before as the first time. And yeah.
No, I know that your mom passed away, and this is recently, guys. And so I know it's really hard on you right now. I just want you to know that, don't take it so rough. And we love you. Your mama loves you, and she's always with you.
And we've been going to the cemetery every day. I think we're at day 81 right now, I think. We've been going every day, and a lot of times I would go back by myself. And today, I think I may have caught an audible. I got to review my stuff from today. But I did capture stuff that's historic in the beginning. Asked my mom come home, say goodnight to me. And Itamaki, she'd come home and say it. I haven't captured on video the audible portion. But if you have a headset, you may want to use it. Now, I haven't placed that in the movie because that's going to take a little time. I might do it if I can. I have to look for my footage, my evidence, my audibles, and just give you an understanding of what can actually happen in a cemetery. Just give you a glimpse of what can happen audibly. And I'm thinking of one right now. I'm going to add two that I recall. Something I want to share that's extraordinary. You think when somebody passes, then their soul is released. Well, my mom's soul was released before she passed. I never thought such a thing. Just didn't seem like it was in chronological order I'm like, this is this possible? And my priest was telling me you're being blessed. Well, I was being forewarned because she needed to get home. They told me you need to get your mom home right now. She's going to make it home in the nick of time. So she did arrive on the afternoon of 26th at 2:53 p.m., I believe. She passed at 10:40 p.m. And that's what they told me. I have other experience, some on audio as I'm recording. I think I'm going to add that. And you're going to see my mom on video for a short moment, me asking basically my mom not to leave me, to stay here. I did have multiple experiences at the house. One night she was standing beside the bed, her bed, my mom's bed, and her eyes were wide open. Basically, what they're telling me is that she's been absolved of certain things, of stuff, and now she can see again.
Can you tell us about the charity for when your movie starts making money?
So what I'd like to do is, yes, as far as money for the movie, it's going to help fund going from location to location to capture more evidence. I like to believe I will. I seem to be destined to do so. And so let's say I pick the Shanley Hotel in Napanoch, New York, that's heavily inundated, not a good place in some respects, or the Stanley Hotel in Eustis, Colorado, which is a big one, or the Axe Murder House in Iowa. I know these three places predominantly love to film there, or the Winchester Estate in California. And so the way it's going to work is that I believe 70% will go to charity. And then less, obviously, the other 30% will go to expenses. Everybody, people have families, they want to put food on their table and feed their kids. So I want to make sure people are taken care of. And now what's going to happen is every time I capture a distinct audible on film, you'll make a nominal donation. Could be 50 cents, a dollar, or it could be $100. So if you want to sponsor the video, you can sponsor it for that something for $1,000, whatever you want. So that'll go towards St. Jude's for that first filming. I would like to continue supporting St. Jude's because they have a direct impact on humanity. That's why I like them the most. Whereas other organizations, by the time all is said and done with exorbitant and ridiculous expenses, a fraction of the money will go where it's supposed to go. With St. Jude's, a lot of the money goes into research and actual physical equipment that's there to assist the patient.
And if anyone is at home that you know that you think is haunted with a bad entity and would like Emmanuel to come out and do his services, where could they contact you at?
So we're going to use an email address. I wouldn't mind a phone number, but unfortunately, I'm sure I'll have so many phone calls, I wouldn't know what to do with them. So email, please notate in the subject line, I need help. Okay, that's all I need to hear. And tell me in the subject line your state and the city you live in. And then you can go into specifics in the body of the email. That email, please, you can give, if you wish not to give your actual name, you can give me your an anonymous name. I'm comfortable with that. But please bear in mind, eventually I'll need to know exactly where you live. I'll need certain contact information from you because I want to make sure, and a picture of your residence would be appreciated, the outside, and you can take some pictures on the inside. So I have the email address when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, Alex. And that'll be, so I'll speak first of all, firsts at gmail.com. So that'll be F as in Frank, I, R, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, first, then of, O, Oscar, F, Frank, followed by A, L, L, all. So first of all, then first, plural versus singular. So first of all, first, F as in Frank, I as in Igloo, R as in Robert, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, S as in Sam, at gmail.com. So first of all, first at gmail.com. And there's a little story behind that. Years ago, my female angel told me, here we are, nobody else has first of all firsts. And I'll tell you right now, there are companies out there who think of what emails we can create. So in case somebody wants it, and there was at a point where they're selling their emails to make money off of it. So for that specific email to come to me was nothing short of incredible. And I have another one too, jitsuruniversal at gmail.com. That's journey into the spiritual realm, universal at gmail.com. So Jitser, comma LLC is the name of the company, and limited liability corporation, which I always recommend if you're going to film at another location. I want everybody to understand some. This is a disclaimer. Because I'm filming there doesn't necessarily mean that what happens there is of my doing. There's no correlation there. But based on what I've experienced and my track record, I leave it in the hands of the divinity. So have faith. We're all human. We're not perfect. We all make mistakes. But I can guarantee you this much, there is an afterlife. And try to be vigilant. Don't let it consume you, but be vigilant.
And before we go, is there anything you would like to tell the viewers
In which capacity?
at all?
First and foremost, I am searching for a sponsor. Now, you can have maybe hopefully a background in film, or maybe somebody who's a aspiring film director, obviously, or somebody who's in a position to back such an initiative. Uh, I'll be more than glad to entertain all offers as far as listen to all offers, and we can take it from there. If you have any questions after watching my movie, please write me with any questions you may have. Feel free to do so. It's not it's not only restricted to those who need help. There will be a fee. Now, it depends the size of the home. It and my I literally I don't usually stay on site. I, as a rule of thumb, do not do that for safety reasons because anything can happen. I mean, it's more we have to be concerned about those amongst the living than versus the spiritual realm. Kind of sounds like a conundrum. There kind of sounds like quite the opposite. But you know, I'll make that decision, and I'll always bring at least two people with me. But like I said, let's say it's a 2,000 square foot home. Now, it doesn't matter. It could be a 500 square foot or 50,000 square foot home. It doesn't matter the size. Size has nothing to do with instability in the atmosphere. Size has nothing to do with immunity. Not one piece of real estate in this earth is immune to the spiritual realm. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be favorable or unfavorable, but there's not one space in this world that's not immune to the spiritual realm.
Thank you for coming on, Emmanuel. We've really enjoyed your time and hearing and seeing the evidence that you have provided.
Oh, the pleasure was all mine, Alex, and you're amazing. And she has a good heart, okay? Nobody's perfect. We don't know have the answers to everything, but we try to do something that a lot of people don't do. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, we're trying to help one another. That's the bottom line here. Okay. So whether or not we make a difference, just being there for one another can make the difference.
And that's 100%. And you guys don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And YouTube just put out that hype button. So if you would be so kind and hit that hype button below, comment whoop whoop if you made it to the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I bid you all a fond farewell. Stay well and be well. And like I said, it doesn't hurt to explore. You want to drive by a creepy building or feel free to do so. But actually exploring by yourself, I would never recommend it in a million years. You don't know what resides there. Like be more concerned amongst what's there amongst the living versus not amongst the living. Have you ever been touched by a spirit? Yes, I have in church. So bear in mind they can do that too. There's no
Mhm.
dimension. They exist with us in the same atmosphere, but in a different state of being.